Someone brought in a Gene Haynes book, and in the Gene Haynes book is a cat. Oh, okay, is a cat. But hand me one of those photos of the cat, the real cat. Yeah. And so she had painted from this cat. She has a painting in her book from this cat. And so I was going to do that with the class, and I started out, and I worked, and I worked, and I worked, and I finally got this. And it just doesn't pop, and it looks overworked. So I thought I would start out be a little bit more daring, and that one I just, whatever, and stopped. So the next day, with the next class, I got this. It's a whole lot better, and part of it is it pops. Mm-hmm. It pops. This doesn't pop. They're not all that different when, if you get to look at them, the shape of the cat and everything, but this one pops and this one doesn't. And what I want is for more of my work to have the pop in it. So then I thought, well, I'll do another one. And sure enough, when I started to do it, I kind of panicked and all of a sudden said to myself, I'm not sure I know how I did this. And I think I've heard that from y'all a number of times, right? I'm not sure how I did this. And I kind of know, but will it turn out? What will it be, So that's when it hits me. If I want to get to where my work, at least some of the time, pops more, not necessarily going to do it on portraits, maybe, then this needs to come natural to me, be secondhand. It shouldn't be something that I worry over every time I pick up a brush. So I need to do more of them. Well, how can I do that? I'll do the same cat over and over until it just flows off the brush. Right. Okay. So let me see. Yeah. I've got.
Have we got a ream?
Yeah. So this one's not finished. I did it, and it's better. And maybe when it's finished, it probably has potential. Here's one that I finished. So, I put a little color in back there, and see the lost edge. Of course, I love lost edges. Well, the lost edge there's some white spots, and you'll see a lot of speckles in here. There's like little holes in here. I think that helps the cat. Sparkles, the little sparkles we like to do. So then, here's a couple more starts. There's a start. Okay, that's what you want your first step to look like. Here's another start without quite as much color there, and some of the shapes aren't as good, but it's got a lot of punch to it. I really like it. Here's one that I finished. So this one I'm pretty happy with. All right, so what I'm going to try to do is show you how I did it. Okay. One thing that I have through many years done. Oh, this is the wrong brush. Well, I could use it anyway. Let me get this one out too. Okay. And one of the things that I have done through the years when I wanted to do something that was relaxed. I'm getting tired of saying loose paintings because everybody says loose paintings. I'll say relaxed paintings. All right. So I've got my drawing here, and this cat is, just to make it a little bit more fun, this cat, this is in with marks a lot because his eyes are going to be very dark, so why not just go ahead and get them in there. Here's the other thing. Having a little bit of an anchor, like having the face where you can see it as you're doing this, really helps. If you got a lot of splashes on there and you can hardly find the eyes, for instance, you kind of feel like it's nothing, it's not working. But if you can see it over, a nose and eyes, suddenly it is working. And that's what makes a big difference. So throughout the years, when I want to do something relaxed looking, I kind of splatter big fat water splatters down. I don't know that that really makes any difference in the long run, but it makes me feel better. I have got, say it in a minute. I've got raw sienna here. And I'm going to start out with raw sienna. I'm mostly using Quin Gold and Quin Burnt Scarlet. But for that first little initial bit of color, Quin Gold is just too acidic looking. It doesn't give you, I don't know, you just need something a little more. So here's the thing, I'm just going to think about painting the cat in a little bit. I know that this area around the muzzle is going to be lighter, and I'll probably stay off the nose. And you can, you know, it doesn't hurt to stand up to do this too. So let's see, there's some more cat down here.
And
Okay.
that's raw sienna, right?
That's raw sienna. And maybe I'll float a little in the ears. Okay, so I've just got things like this going on, and it's like, that's nothing. But it gets even more pronounced in a minute. So I'm going to let this begin to dry, and then I may go in and pull a little color over it, but I want some of these edges left in there. They just build up a very subtle texture in the end. And that subtle texture is a big deal. All right, so then we're going to go to ultramarine, not ultramarine, what am I saying? Quin Gold and Quin Burnt Scarlet. I don't have them in here yet. Okay. And you're going to want to also have those two colors to be in kind of gooey condition in your palette, or I can bring some to you fresh out of the tube. I want this color that I'm putting in my palette here to be pretty strong. And it could be more yellow or more whatever. Oh, look, that's beginning to dry a little bit. Let's see, maybe we can go ahead. See, all I'm doing is, I don't want a hard edge down here. There. So I have just very gently, I think I went after it a little sooner than I wanted. And you could also throw water on this later and get back runs and things in it. That'll all be good. Okay, so let's go here. And let's start the edge on an ear. And you can see that I have too much water on it. So already I'm messing up on looking relaxed. Okay. Let's pull a little bit in here. I'm going to get a smaller size of this brush. I love this brush, but I don't know if we want something over there or not. Okay, so what are we going to do now? Like I know what I'm doing. Okay. Let's take, this is a synthetic brush. You thought the day would never come, didn't you? I need something that I can poke down in the paint to get some strong color up out of here. And I'm going to mix the same stuff. I've got the Quin Burnt Scarlet here. You can see that's gooey. In fact, it's holding up on the side of the plate. That's what I don't like, is mixing the strong paint like this. It's a little bit.
Quin Burnt Scarlet and what?
Quin Gold again, but this is the gooey paint. Ken, you want it thick and gooey. I believe mine's a little too thick and gooey. I don't think I can get that off the brush. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dip it in a touch of water. I still want it to be thick, and that's why I need a synthetic brush, because I want to be able to put some pressure down. So I'm going to start out up here, and this cat has got it's a tabby. So it's got some little things here. Try to make them irregular, okay, because they are. And maybe I'm just dotting a little more color up along here on top of the ear. And hopefully this will still be damp enough that your color's going to make soft edges, because that's what you're looking to have happen. Okay, and then down here, this goes all the way up there, and there's another one. Okay, here's the start of my cat. Now, I think I'm going to need a little bit more water down here. And who knows, I might get some runbacks or something in here when I'm doing this. I didn't put that water on evenly, okay? Here's a critical area to making this cat look good. I've decided that cats are prettier if they got dark over the nose. So if your cat doesn't have that, you might have to put makeup on it.
Only if you're interested in a pretty cat.
If you don't care if your cat's pretty?
They can be.
Personally, I'd rather them not be
They can be ugly.
pretty.
So if you want your cat to be, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Okay.
You don't know about my favorite cat, so
I sense that there's a story coming on.
only if you want to hear it.
Well, later. Because I don't know if it's fit for public consumption.
Or it comes off television.
The cat came off the television?
Yeah.
What did you throw at it?
No. Cat's a character
So
in production.
I want things like this to happen. Naturally, because I'm doing a video, this is not going to be very good. Okay, so let's pick up a little more color, and there's a place here under the eyes. I'm using a soft brush again with a little more water in it. There's also these like almost wings coming off of the eyes here on the side. And I think you need a little color around the eyes. I keep it very slight, minimal, but you can see how it's beginning to be a cat. Oh yeah, now I see the cat ink, because I was a little disappointed in it a while ago, quite frankly. But now I'm seeing it come around. Now the other thing is, when this is dry, which is not, I'm going to actually pull that little color over the nose right down both sides, about that far. Again, it just adds to the cuteness factor. If you care, if your cat's cute. Okay, so let's begin to make this come out.
Chewed up ear. Tire track.
And you can pop in little bits of water here and there, okay? You might want to make some, you might want to do a little bit of this, or you might not want to. But I would say minimize it, don't do too much, because in this particular style, I think if you suddenly start getting a lot of little liney things going on in there, it can work against you. Then I'm going to pick up my cerulean, real thin little bit of cerulean, and pull in here. And probably what I'm going to do, quite frankly, probably what I will do is that I will add a cerulean glaze in some of these areas afterwards, because rather than have it mix in. So that's kind of the beginning on your cat. Probably needs a little bit more raw sienna down here. And so it's basically a two-step cat. You do this much. I don't want to because this is real pale, I can leave some white blobs there and it'll probably look good. As opposed to, if they stood out too much.
Suzanne and Dan are coming in.
Okay, these eyes in with the black pen, and they really need to transition a little more. Despite what I've got here in the picture, I know that there's got to be an edge around them that is not as dark, but pretty dark. So I'm just going to go into my burnt umber. And here's the thing. When you've got, I just love having dried paint on the bottom of these, because that's when I could come in with my little bitty wet brush and I could pick up just exactly what I needed in the just exact amount. Now that's for fine tuning things, but not for what we did a few minutes ago. So I might just pull in a little bit of something here. It doesn't have to be much. And then these tear ducts, there's a marking right here, but I'm actually going to just let the tear duct kind of flow down there. That one didn't flow very well. But you see the difference? This one isn't sitting in somewhere, and this one is set in the face. This one's laying on top of it. So it just needs that little transitional area. And that's another thing that I don't talk about often enough is transitions. Transitions are really, really important to make things work and look good. Well, I got that too wet. Here I can come over here and I can just pick up the tiniest little bit of paint on the end of this. So that gives me a lot more control for places where I wanted more control. So I wipe that off and I can clean up that edge. If I want to get just really detailed about it, I can. Okay, now the mouth. I've really got that chewed up and staggered looking. One of the things you want to be careful about is that mostly what we're seeing on the mouth is a shadow. And best to do that maybe with a gray, or at least use some gray. And I'm going to just kind of doing a thing like this. See how I'm just dabbing dots? Now I've got to come in here immediately because that looks pretty bad.
Stitches.
I need to break it up there some. And then I think I'm going to want a little shadow top side too. Let's pick up a little of the orange and let's put a little orange in there and maybe a little orange in under here. That's not working for me, and this brush is not. It's the brush's fault. The brush is not giving me what I want because it's a fine little brush for little pointy things. So let's loosen up here a bit and let's get a little more color in here. And I'm thinking of those pictures of those lions on the savannah where they're chewing up a dead animal.
He just ate a mouse.
Yeah. Oh, poor little mouse. I like mice too. I told you I'm going to get a support rat for my dog.
Yeah. How about a mole?
Yeah?
They're awful.
Are they?
They're so ugly.
Oh, I had a baby mole one time, but it got overheated. Sad story.
Sounds it.
Yeah.
Tragic.
We won't go there. We won't go there. So I'm putting I'm putting a little, I think that's burr umber in with my red. And as soon as you kind of define this little nose, I can keep my glasses up in place long enough. Now in this dry weather, I've been blaming the paper, but I think it's more the weather. In this dry weather, your paint dries a lot faster. You see that little bit of shaping there?
I know.
Huh?
I kept thinking, I just put water down.
Yeah.
Where'd it go?
So,
Sitting in the wind tunnel.
so the 300-pound arches was bad, but maybe the 140 is fine. It's just when I put a big thing of just water or something really wet and with
Yeah.
one of my big brushes, it just disappear.
Yeah.
So I'm putting a little bit of shape. Mostly I'm using the Quinn Burnt Scarlet because their noses tend to be kind of on the pinky side. There, a little bit there. And then we put a little color down here. How about if we go and we get a little bit more and I don't know that it should be that red. Okay, but you got those little things going on. And oh, then this area just does not feel right because I've left it too open, too clean. So here I'm more like glazing. And I'm just gonna pull some color in. A little more stuff there. But here I'm on dry paper. And remember, dry paper in a Texas summer is, let's just give it maybe a little bit of that. And here's the other thing. You don't want the chin to feel too prominent. Just like dogs, cats don't have much chin. Their chins show up a lot more than a dog chin does. But it's still pretty minimal. So the way that you can handle that is you can put it in shadow a little bit more. You can probably do something that looks better than that, but you got the idea. Something's still not making me happy. A lot of things aren't making me happy, but I just want to clean that up a little bit more. Oh, then we were going to glaze. That's what I was talking about, glaze. I keep getting distracted. So let's just pull in some. The main thing, and darn it, some of that is still damp, but the main thing is maybe pull this in over areas that are already dry. You could use it for shadow and do it very subtly, but also, see how that little pop of blue makes the whole picture better? So it will never be that strong when it dries anyway, but maybe I will. And see, I've got just a ragged, strange edge there.
That's pretty.
Doesn't hurt a thing. In fact, yeah, it can be pretty. Let's try a little bit more. Cerulean is pretty much opaque, and it's also got a little different way of the way it handles being on paper. It acts a little differently, and I think it makes great glazes because it kind of holds its own there. So, and again, if you put it everywhere, then it's nowhere. It needs to be spot color. You know, it needs to just be in places. Or we can just do that. And well, See, the thing is, when things are going right, when things are going well, there's a temptation to just do more of it. And sometimes that is just a bad news.
Less is more.
Yeah. Sometimes less is more. Let's go there. And then the one thing that's bothering me, even though it's like the cat in the picture a little bit, is I think this spot right in here is just a little too light to make me happy. I would just like a little bit more color there. And you see, we've still got some sparkles showing through. If I thought that those were hurting the painting, I might go in and, give them just a tint like that. But even if I tinted them, you can see how you have that little break, that little bit of pattern up there that doesn't belong, but what it does is it just kind of livens things up. And that makes me happy, and I like being happy. I think this side needs more or something. There's a place under there. Now, should I leave that hard or soft edge? I think I'll just leave it and see how I feel about it later.
I like it.
So that's kind of a finish up. And again, it's still less is more. You don't want to overdo it. And the thing about it too is when you're working with a brush like this, just a reminder, when you're working with a brush like this, you're just using gravity. Basically, it's gravity is doing the painting. It's not because the brush is stiff, because it's not. And what that does is, instead of getting this overworked stuff that's pushed together with the layer underneath it, I can drop like the cerulean in on top, and it's only going to mix optically, but it's not going to be physically stirred in, because that totally detracts from it. That has a little bit of that look, like it was stirred in. And actually, I worked pretty softly, but still, you can get that look. Here, it's just floated on. That's very much like when people are doing those paint pourings. One of the reasons, those look really good for a couple of reasons, but one of the reasons is there is none of that overworking with the brush. It just floated on. You can use a brush and float on just as effectively as if you did a pour, and use a lot less paint.